Hi, everybody. I'm here with Aaron Smith, and we're talking recruiter enablement. So, Aaron, thanks for joining me today, and give us a quick introduction to you.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I'm Aaron. I'm TA manager at TravelPerk. I'll get into that in a sec, who TravelPerk are. But yeah, just a background into me. Started off agency side. Was very much kind of specialising in the kind of UK data market, data analytics market. So did a couple of years there, and had the opportunity to move in house. And I've really just kind of specialised in tech recruitment in house from there now. So kind of coming up to I think 9-10 years, which has flown by, and mainly kind of specializing in kind of fintech and travel. So I was able to work at places like Zopa, now kind of a unicorn bank, Clio AI, kind of fintech chatbot, doing really well at kind of Series C these days, I think, and Skyscanner and TravelPerk. And travel is very much where I've really enjoyed. So I've been very fortunate to work at 3 unicorns now, all in kind of hyper growth phase, crazy times. And TravelPerk today, we're kind of an all-in-one business travel management platform. So I kind of pitch it to people, if you've used Skyscanner before, and it's really simple. You log on, where you want to go, you book it, happy days. It's very similar to that in that sense. TravelPerk takes all the kind of the stress and hassle out of business travel. So you go in, you log in, you know where you need to go, you pick your flight, your train, your hotel, your car hire, whatever you need, and that's taken care of. And normally these days there's a little bit of hassle that comes with it. There's either delays or strikes, but we luckily have a fantastic customer care team that would look after any kind of issues, any rebooking, anything like that you need as well. So a lot of companies use us these days for that kind of 7-star experience that we're providing for people. The other part of that, which is quite interesting as well, is that people obviously use TravelPerk for the kind of the business management aspect as well. All of the finances, the invoices, expense management, which you don't normally think of with business travel. That helps finance, legal teams as well to kind of track that as well. So we're about 1,200 people nowadays. I joined just shy of 2 years, and we was about 600 people. So we've doubled in about 2 years. Last year, when I joined, was crazy hectic. It really was. We was about, as I said, 600 people. We just raised Series D at I think it was $115 million. Gave us unicorn status at 1.3 billion. And the business, obviously coming off the back of COVID, just wanted to go and hire, hire like crazy. So I kind of walked into the role and just, like let's go crazy. And then that's really where we had to think about hiring enablement, which I suppose segues nicely into what we're going to talk about today.
It does. First of all, thanks very much for that great description. Second of all, what a bunch of exciting companies you've worked for. Third of all, shout out to Darshan, who used to work with me in both social media search and in candidate ID, and used to look after my travel. It wasn't her core job, but she didn't use a system like that, and she had me in all sorts of shithole places that I didn't ever want to stay in again. So I think TravelPerk's one that I'm going to be recommending if Darshan and I ever work together in the future. So let's talk about recruiter enablement. Yes, or hiring enablement was the phrase that you used. Tell us what it means to you. What's the purpose?
Yeah, I think I really learned the importance of it at TravelPerk, to be honest with you. Kind of coming in when it's 150 miles an hour, and just kind of seeing areas where we probably haven't invested too much into that kind of hiring enablement. And what that means to me is it's just kind of getting everything in order before you even think about going out to the market and hiring. It's really just kind of taking a breather, taking a step back, and making sure all of your kind of your systems, your processes are up to scratch, that can support that kind of hyper growth that you want to go out there and do, and just kind of having a framework in place. To be honest, I think places that I've worked and things that we've done, it's normally kind of individual recruiters going off doing their own thing, and getting their hires and putting it into the team, kind of overall goals. A lot of times there isn't that kind of set in stone structure or kind of framework. I think that's what we tried to do at TravelPerk here, and really involve the business actually from day one. I think a lot of times as well, TA might do their own thing and say, right, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to hire. Hey, business, this is what we've agreed on here. what we tried to do at TravelPerk from day one as well is really involve them. So we actually did it hand in hand and kind of created focus groups with them, from the very start. So for me, yeah, hiring enablement is very much just kind of getting everything in order before you actually go out to the market and hire those 600 roles that you want.
When you put this in place, what are the main things you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, just kind of more structure, as I keep saying. I think that one word structure is so important, because I think what we was finding there were so many different kind of inefficiencies across TravelPerk. The way people were hiring, CC versus sales versus engineering. We was all successful, all making great hires, but it was totally different. So could you say that it was a kind of a fair, equal process at TravelPerk? Probably not. So what we wanted to do was make it a kind of a fair, level kind of playing field, essentially, and allow the team also to kind of step in and help other people as and when needed. So if we all knew where we was at, and we knew kind of how to set up a role, how to kind of set up greenhouse for that, what a job advert must look like, how you could kind of go out and speak about that role via employer branding. It didn't really matter if that was in Eng or sales or CC. You had that framework there to kind of go and roll it out. So I think it was kind of really avoiding inefficiencies, to be honest. Oh, I think you're on mute there, Adam. Sorry.
No, because that's the first time that's happened in like 110 plus interviews. It's the first time I've done that. The amount of times that that I've seen recruitment teams and like somebody's gone off like on sick or something like that, and actually nobody else knows what's happening with their recs. It's terrible.
It just goes dead. It just kills another 2 weeks. You're almost waiting for that person to come off from their holiday to pick it up again, because you're like, oh yeah, I didn't know what was going on there, or the hiring manager didn't really know. So again, it's just, as you said there, just making sure that if anyone does leave, anyone moves, anyone goes on holiday, you've got that framework. It doesn't matter. The context of the role is obviously going to be slightly different, which you have to learn, but the actual recruiting of the role, and kind of managing the process and that kind of stuff should be exactly the same.
When you're pitching this as a concept to the CHRO or even the CFO, like what's the thing, what are the things that you're going to say to them that are going to get them to go, yes, you can hire somebody to focus on this, or yes, you can bring in some tools to enable this, or whatever? Is it to do with, you talked about like probably a more fair process and things like that, but in terms of hard commercial numbers, is it filling jobs faster? Is it saving money? Is it what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of bits and pieces there. I think every kind of department nowadays has some sort of kind of operational focus, right? And I think TA is starting to get there. And in TravelPerk right now, you've got financial operations, business operations, and I think that's what we was trying to really pitch, to say, well, TA should have it. It has such a massive impact, and that term as well. We've heard a lot of recruitment operations. That's how we were kind of selling it as well. But I think luckily, we didn't have to do too much selling here at TravelPerk, because hiring is kind of number one priority for everyone. But the metrics are so important. You want to get people in as quickly as possible. So your time to hire, time to offer. You want to get your offer acceptance rates. You're doing as little work as possible at the offer stage. And also the quality of hire metric. And those were kind of the 4 ones, particularly that last one, the kind of the quality of hire, to say, right, we're doing so much interviewing, so many hours input. So when we hire someone, we don't want them to leave or, anything like that within that kind of first 6 months. And that was kind of how we're going to kind of metric it. So that for us was so important. And as we know, kind of the cost of making a bad hire is, it's kind of untrackable almost, and if you do that multiple times at the kind of the volume that we were doing, as I say, kind of 600 hires in a year, it's just hugely costly for the business. So that's how we was kind of pitching it. And luckily, we've got folks around us that have come from quite large organizations, like Salesforce, VMware, etc., where this term of kind of, hiring enablement, recruiter enablement, having a hiring philosophy was already set in stone, so they've already kind of seen it and it's worked really well. And they were kind of completely behind us when we was trying to pitch that to the business as well, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think that tech companies are among the most sophisticated or quickest on the uptake with all of this, because as you pointed out, other business functions have been doing similar things for a bit longer. And certainly I took most of my inspiration for this subject from sales enablement. I think that's probably because tech companies have often got a very heavy engineering, influence over everything, over how you get to the office, over every element of how to operate and build a company. So I love engineers, and so I wonder, is there anything that's like any kind of things that are like, don't do this? Any sort of downs, anything that you've done that's not worked, or anything that you've seen in other companies, for example, that's not worked, and you're like, that's not the way to do it?
Yeah, the biggest mistake I think I probably made here was trying to do it whilst we was at peak capacity. We was trying to change and influence whilst there was, a lot of business pressure to kind of hit the targets, and it was just, incredibly busy time for us. And I think that was actually a bad moment. And I don't think it's a bad thing to actually kind of take a breather as a TA team, sometimes say to the business, hey, we're going to take January off almost, to fix everything, get everything in place. So when the actual big hiring peak comes again, we're ready. And we was actually quite fortunate in that sense. I think a lot of companies, obviously, as we know, kind of start of this year did hiring freezes, layoffs, etc. We were fortunate enough that we didn't, but there was a kind of a reduction in hiring numbers. So we used that as an opportunity to, keep our pulse on the market, still, hire kind of key roles and key backfill roles, but really take the opportunity to do the hiring enablement, and doing that in kind of February, March time this year compared to last year in the summer, it was kind of like chalk and cheese, and we did say to the business that we're going to really try and concentrate on this for kind of a quarter at least, work 3 months on it and really smash it, get everything in play. And then, luckily, kind of end of Q2, Q3 came around and we're back to hiring, big numbers of people. So having that, just like saying to the business, hey, we need a little bit of time here, I think is probably the biggest thing I would say to people trying to do a big project like this, where you're coming from like 0 to 1, essentially, just to take your time with it, don't rush it, because if you don't do it properly, it's going to probably end up even worse, in the long run.
Yeah, really, really great advice there. I think about like Formula One, you can't hit top speed when you're going through a chicane. So you got to work out when's the right time to do the different things. You've got to have pit stops. You've got to pick up the speed at the right times. And I also think about a lot of teams right now in across all industries where there is less tech happening, and I do hear people say we're using this time to really work on process and efficiency, technology, things that are going to make us faster and better when everything picks up again. So I love that advice, real practical one, and really interesting to hear that you have made the enhancements that you put in place are now all that like really coming to fruition, and the produce from that good work is apparent. So that's really excellent.
No, we're seeing it, yeah, and we really tried to fit, double down and, as I said, create these kind of working groups, kind of rip apart processes, etc. in sales, customer care, and engineering hiring. They're kind of the 3 big pushes for us, and we're fortunate, as I said, to be back in a kind of a hiring phase right now in all 3 of those areas. And so we're seeing kind of fruits of the labor right now, actually, which is brilliant.
Yeah, wonderful. Aaron, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today. It's been great to hear from you, and hopefully see you again soon.
Nice one. Cheers, Adam. Thanks very much.